I want to take a few minutes to talk about leverage and the types of leverage that you need to build in order to scale your company and get the outcomes that you want from life, not just in business, but across life as well. These are very transferable things that you should be building up that you can take with you to other careers, professions, businesses, and they can benefit your life tremendously. Now, when most people talk about leverage in business, they specifically focus and overemphasize sometimes the financial component. So, deploying capital as a means to grow your wealth, scale companies, invest, etc. Most of the conversations around leverage are focused on this. So I'm not really going to talk about that today. I want to talk about two other types of leverage. One is skills, having the leverage of being a true expert and subject matter expertise on a specific topic or niche. And the other is network, your leverage of having a really strong network. We're all familiar with the cliche saying your net worth is your network and that type of trite, but it's so true. It really is. And I'm going to give you a few examples about why I believe this is so underinvested in and overlooked even by me until recently. So let's just go over quickly the types of leverage. Financial, I'm not going to cover that because it's self explanatory. But again, this is using your money or other people's money to get the outcomes and returns you want. So much has been said about this that I don't need to go into it. Now, most of the time when we start companies, we build them to a point where we're exclusively sometimes seeking that financial leverage. We want to acquire capital to deploy it, to grow our wealth and expedite it. And that's logical. It makes sense. It's probably the most efficient way to do it after you've acquired a certain amount of wealth. And often the first step to getting that financial leverage is by building specific knowledge and skills across a subject matter expertise. Now, if we talk about the context of what most of my listeners to this podcast and followers online and myself personally, that was built up around service based businesses. So, being a true expert in a specific craft. For me, it was email, retention marketing, and e commerce. And then monetizing that, getting it to a point where you acquire capital, and then using the capital to expedite building wealth. What I've found is you can't abandon that skills leverage. And this is a mistake where I've fallen into the trap myself. You think that you attain a level of success and then you don't need to keep refining your knowledge, your craft, because you have more important things to focus on. And I think the way a lot of us are building agencies and businesses, this is a mistake. In fact, I know it's a mistake because I took a long time out, and whilst the principles that I acquired along the way are still much more important than some of the technological changes. Ultimately, I have fallen behind in my craft, and now I'm playing catch up. So you have to be careful that you don't abandon the leverage that you've built in terms of your skills and knowledge, because that's often the path to many more opportunities. And if you start to neglect this or it erodes, then you'll start to see those opportunities close. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. So don't exclusively optimize around building your leverage financially and abandoning skills once you get there. I think you need to continue to refine your craft, be a true subject matter expertise, preferably in one domain if you're quite new to the game, and then find ways to monetize that. As an example, I started freelancing, doing email, then I started an agency, then I released courses. Now, the fastest way to continue to grow my wealth is to stay within that domain. It's not, at least in the money I've made, it's not to start deploying the capital at this point in my career to grow that wealth even more. Again, other people are further along. They might be in a different position, but I think you just need to be careful about how quickly you abandon that position of acquiring skills, becoming a true obsessive master at your craft. That's going to get you sort of 90% of the way there. So don't lose focus on that. But the other one, which I keep coming back to and I keep seeing time and time again, is the network leverage that certain people just have. And I made a post about this a few weeks ago. These magnetic type of people who just attract others, and they have this vibe, this aura circulating them, and they're just generating opportunity through hustle and motion, I think I referred to it as, where they're just kicking up dust everywhere they go and opportunity just seems to fall upon them. It's actually very intentional, and a proactive way of building leverage is to maintain a really strong network of like-minded other successful entrepreneurs and people to help you get the outcomes and the opportunities that you want in life. And again, this is something that I neglected in the last 2 years, and I'm coming back to stronger than ever now. I have trips booked to New York. I'm looking into going back to India soon, also Hong Kong, to meet up with clients, old friends in business, people who just have tremendous impact on my self-development. Now, there's not often a clear, immediate path to ROI in these meetings, but you just know when you're meeting and interacting with these people. I have a mastermind planned at my own home next week as well, that something's going to come from all these net new conversations with intelligent people, especially if they have your best interests at heart as well. Now, the key to unlocking that type of leverage, again, it comes back to the skills leverage that you have to build in the beginning, because if you're not refining your expertise, you're becoming a subject matter expertise, then you're not going to have the leverage of the network, because you can't penetrate those circles without having something to offer those people. So you need to develop specific knowledge. That's the basis of all the other type of leverage coming afterwards, unless you're just born into money, but most of us aren't. So they're just a few thoughts. I think number one, you have to become a true master. Don't neglect that. Don't take your eye off the ball too soon until you really do acquire wealth. And then fair enough, go off and do your own thing, whatever else interests you. Then look to and continue to proactively build that network leverage. And don't ever think you're too good to not spend your time meeting other people. Again, it's a trap I've fallen into. I am embarrassed to say, but you can get caught up in your own success sometimes, that you take your finger off the pulse of people up and coming with new strategies, just networking and interacting with other smart people. Get out there and meet as many of them as possible. That's my best advice. And reciprocate, give that good energy and karma back. Do things for these people without being asked. Just go out of your way to help them. Trust me, it's going to pay you back in abundance. And then finally, obviously, you'll have financial leverage as well, where you can deploy capital, etc. So they're just some thoughts. I think start with skills, continuously harness them, build your network, and then acquire the capital and deploy it. But don't think once you have acquired the financial leverage that you can neglect the others. There's this very strong correlation between all three, and you need to continuously improve and develop all of them to unlock your true potential and maximize the financial outcomes in your life. It's been a big lesson for me this year. In other news, speaking of skills leverage, I've been humbled to such an extent this week where we had somebody go off work very abruptly. It was a big shock. And I've been deep in the weeds on client account work for the first time in 2.5 years. As you can see, I'm tired now, but it's been a great experience just getting back in the weeds. So if you are someone who's been fortunate enough to remove yourself from the operations of what's going on. Don't let that be an excuse for not keeping your finger on the pulse. I've been pleasantly surprised and also see so much area for opportunities in terms of refining our service, selling, marketing, when I've got back involved in the thick of it. So again, it's tempting to get out of that, and you should want to get out of that. You have to work on the business, but there's also something deeply fulfilling about doing the actual work as well sometimes. So never think that it's above you. Okay, long term, you can't continuously work like that, but it's good sometimes to just get back involved. So that's another message for today. Anyway, peace